All right, finished bleeding the brakes. And I just want you to look at, you'll see this green layer up above, and you'll see this sort of amber layer below. It's a little mixture of amber and green. Now the amber, which is contaminated with the green yucky brake fluid, is actually the color of brand new brake fluid. It should be clear, it should be amber, yellow amber. So this is just an example of the water, which is in the upper layer, which is dark green or black, and the clear, relatively clear fluid, which is, you can see a transition between the clear fluid in the bottom, which is the amber clear fluid for brake fluid, .4. Then you can see it getting mixed, and then you can see the dark green. And that dark green is organic. It's algae. It's what grows in brake fluid. So if you've ever had the pleasure of owning a German car, they will tell you literally every 2 years you should change your brake fluid. And I've had a lot of people say, oh, that's too much. That's, why bother? Brake fluid lasts for a long time. Well, this is obviously a car that's had 20 years of brake fluid. I'm not sure it's ever been bled. It may have been, but I don't know. So what happens is brake fluid loves water, and so it absorbs it. And when it absorbs water, there's a few problems with that. One, it creates an environment where the calipers and the brake boosters and everything else can rust. The second problem is water has a very low boiling temperature, 212 degrees Fahrenheit, whereas quality brake fluid like .4, I think is like 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And brakes get very, very hot when you brake a lot, like going down a mountain or on a racetrack. And water will boil and turn into vapor, which means you won't have any brake pedal. You'll get a spongy pedal or no pedal. And so if you bleed the brakes, removing the water, you then return the brake fluid to its optimum level in terms of heat. So this is an example. This was the fourth and final caliper. It was the left front, the driver's side, being bled. And initially the dark green stuff came out, which is lighter than the amber stuff. So that's why you get these layers. So this is a reason. Every 2 to 3 years, just bleed your brakes. It's easy to do. It'll cost you $10 for a liter of .4 fluid. .4 and .3 fluid, they're interchangeable. Use one, use the other, mix them. It does not matter. Just do it. Make sure you change your brake fluid every 2 to 3 years, and you'll be a happy man or a happy woman or a happy non-binary, something neutral. I don't know what it is, but if you like cars, bleed your brakes. It's so simple to do. You can see I've got this little hose that goes on the brake bleeding nipple. I've got this, 1 liter bottle of water that used to be water. I punch a hole in the top. I feed the hose in there, and then I just hook it up to the nipple, and then I have a friend. Friend came over, Darlene. She's been a good friend, married to Bob. And then I just open it. I tell her to pump the brakes 3 times. She holds it steady. Then I open it, bleed out the fluid, not letting any air get back into the line. And I flushed this much fluid through the whole system. And I think this was $8 or $9. Best investment I ever made. Now, it's Prestone. I don't care what fluid brand you use. And don't believe this 50,000 mile fluid life. That's nonsense. 2 to 3 years. Do not go past 3 years. It's a waste of time. Now, obviously, I don't think this system suffered as a result of that, but we'll never know. We can't look inside of the calipers. We don't know what the seals are like. And I assume this car, since it's so low mileage, was never driven real hard down the mountains in Colorado, so it didn't have boiling brake fluid. But just go ahead and do it. It's simple to do. If you've got a friend that'll help you, it'll really make a difference in the longevity and the quality of the brake feel when you're braking. So it's worth it. It's easy to do. If you're not sure how to do it initially, get someone who's done it before to show you the ropes. Don't just start out doing it because you'll suddenly do something wrong. And that'll be a real pisser. You won't be happy about that. And I have a technique let's see if I can show you. I will go find the tool and I'll be right back. So this is what I do. If you can see, I'm taking this 10mm socket and putting it on the brake bleeding nipple. And the reason I do that is if you try to loosen with just a wrench like this, you can end up stripping off the edges, the sides of the brake bleeding nipple. And the beauty of this is it gives you a nice, solid connection with the brake bleeding nipple. And that allows you to use some force. It's well done. It's well placed all over the entire brake bleeding nipple. And then you're able to break it loose, and just break it loose 1/8 of a turn, and then tighten it back down. And then you hook your box wrench, this is a box wrench, onto the nipple, which has already been broken loose. Then you slide your tube, and I got this, I think was it Harbor Freight? Yes, they had a little kit that has this nice little black nipple. It's secure, you hook it on there, and then you go ahead with the pump 3 times, then you break it loose 1/4 of a turn, 1/2 a turn. You can hear the fluid flush out, then you close it gently. You don't have to torque the heck out of this thing. 3 or 4 foot-pounds. They pump the brake 3 times, and then you have them hold it, then you break it, let the fluid come out. And the fluid will come out like this, where you'll see the really dark fluid, and then as it flushes through the system, you'll see the amber fluid that you see on the bottom come through, and the dark fluid will come up to the top, since it's a lot of water. They say do it on the farthest caliper from the brake fluid reservoir. I don't understand that. Here's the brake fluid reservoir, so this is the last one I did. It doesn't make any sense to me, but I do it anyway because I don't fully understand. So I started on the passenger's rear, then I went to driver's rear, passenger's front, driver's front, and it's all done. Now, clearly I have the level between max and min. That's where I ended up. Fluid looks good. It's done for a couple of years. I, of course, since this is its first flush in some 20 years, next year I will flush it again, because there are anti-lock brake systems on cars, and unless you have a scanner that will allow you to operate the anti-lock brake system, those really don't get cleared out of the old brake fluid. So by driving it for a year, you'll eventually hit the brakes hard enough that the ABS, or anti-lock brake system, will actuate. Then it will flush out all the old fluid from the ABS into the main system, and that just gives you a chance to flush it out again. And like I said, $8, $9, 40 minutes of your time with a friend pumping the brakes. Voila, it's a great thing to do. And I would say to somebody, if you get a car I own, you get a car that's really well maintained and should not give you any trouble. So I love you all. Have a good time. I hope you're having a great day. Talk to you later. Bye.